Well, Steve Keim he is swinging for the fences. And he hired a coach and had to move off him in a year. And he drafted a quarterback and had to move off him in a year. And it's worked. And he went out and got DeAndre Hopkins. And he went out and just got J.J. Watt. And in the best division in football, you cannot sit on your hands. Les Snead's a go-for-it guy. John Schneider is. John Lynch is. And Steve Keim is now joining us, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best for nothing. All right, Steve, great to have you on a Friday. Great to see you again and talk to you again. I love that you come on the show. So you have gone big on this stuff. Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to say, Steve, you guys were fourth in sacks. You got Chandler Jones. Did you really need a $15 million, $14 million pass rusher? And to that, you would say what?
Well, I mean, I think that anytime you have the ability to acquire a player like J.J. Watt, not only what he brings to the team on the field, Colin, but the things that he does in the locker room, his infectious personality, his passion for the game, and really something that I felt like that we vastly needed was somebody that can hold people accountable internally. And that's something that comes to attention to detail. Last year, we led the National Football League in penalties, and that was unacceptable. So to be able to acquire a guy like this who can, in some regards, self-police your locker room, it was a huge coup for us, in my opinion.
You know, I've said this for years. When Brady was playing in the AFC East or Peyton Manning was playing in the AFC North, you had to, as a general manager, consider drafting pass rushers. You had to make those quarterbacks uncomfortable. Now Matt Stafford's in your division. You already got Russell in your division. When Jimmy G is healthy, he got to a Super Bowl in the 1 year he was. Is some of this Steve Keim looking around and going, all right, I got Matt Stafford in my division. I can't have a good enough pass rush.
There's no doubt. I mean, I think that you can even point to the Super Bowl and say that was the one team that was able to get Patrick Mahomes off his spot. Anytime you can get all these talented quarterbacks off their spot, they have to throw from other angles. They get flushed out of the pocket. They get flustered. It gets them out of their game. To me, that is the recipe for success. And we all know that you have to run the ball, stop the run to be effective to win football games. But when you create a situation where quarterbacks are uneasy, and now that we have Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt on the same front, I think that poses a problem.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. You've been very aggressive. I talked to Les Snead about a month ago, and he's like, hey, in this division, you just got to be aggressive. This is the reality of it. Everybody's good. And you went out and got Kyler Murray. And I said, I full disclosure, I'm like, man, he looks small. I don't know if this is going to work. And then about 3 games in, I'm like, okay, this kid's great. I get the move. I thought he made a heck of a jump last year. But if you looked at passing stats alone, you'd say, But if you looked at total touchdowns, pocket presence, what did you see as a GM? Where did you see the growth in Kyler Murray last year?
Same thing, command of the offense, progression, ability to see the field. Really all of those things were the areas that I see that he continues to grow. And to me, that's what happens to all young quarterbacks who are really talented. It takes a little bit of time, but you also look back at his track record, and he didn't play a ton of college football. He never played spring ball because of baseball. And then now he goes to Oklahoma, has one big year, and comes to the NFL and is thrown right into the fire and becomes rookie of the year. Second year, he's one of 3 NFC quarterbacks. So the trajectory and the really where he is going is on the rise. And all he's going to do is get better, which is pretty scary because he hasn't scratched the surface yet.
Let's talk about your coach, Kliff Kingsbury. So he goes 5-10-1. He goes to 8-8. Where did he grow last year?
You know, I think it's just being comfortable being a head coach, being in front of a team, being able to hold the players accountable, which is something we continue to do better. And at the end of the day, just his presence alone, I think he does a fantastic job as a play caller. But we all know that head coaches aren't just play callers. We're talking about guys who are CEOs and leaders and have to be in front of not only offensive players, but the defensive players and the special teams players as well.
You know, Larry Fitzgerald is literally a player I could see at some point, and I'm not joking here, vying for commissionership. He's that kind of human being. I think at some point we will have a former player be a commissioner perhaps, or number 2 in charge of the NFL. I think he has such an important DNA in any locker room. Will he be back? Where does he stand this morning on that?
He hasn't told us yet. We have respected the process for him and given him his space like we have every year. Generally, Michael and I will talk to Larry prior to free agency, but you nailed it. I mean, this guy is as special as it gets. As tremendous of a player as he has been, he's even a better person. He's so charismatic. He could run for governor. He could be the president. I mean, really anything that Larry Fitzgerald sets his mind to do to me in the future, he is going to have a tremendous amount of success no matter what he does.
Okay, you don't have to name specifics because I know you GMs get in trouble with this stuff. But in terms of the draft, some of my guys have said it's great for about 4.5 rounds. Then there's a lot of good players. Give me, and you can be somewhat vague here, give me your last 7-8 drafts. Where does this one rank? Where is it good? Where is it not maybe as good?
Well, I think it's really strong at a number of positions. I think there's a number of linebackers in this draft that are strong, wide receivers. I think there are some pass rushers that are very, very talented. But I do agree that I think once you get into rounds 4 and 5, because of the COVID situation, because of players opting out, some of the guys having to return to college, some of the depth in the later rounds may not be there as there was in the past.
You know, finally, Steve, we're seeing something. In the NBA, it's always been understood as a players' league. Even when I was an NBA fan in the 70s, it was a players' league. It wasn't a coaches' league. Football's always been a GM coaches sport. But increasingly, Russell Wilson wants an opinion. Tom Brady wants an opinion. Deshaun Watson wants an opinion. You have an emerging star at quarterback. How do you manage that as he gets better, he gets richer, he learns the game? You know, he plays 6, 7, 8, 9 years, has more success. Do you see that as a challenge? How the quarterbacks now in America are they're literally the stars of the country. They're bigger than our politicians. They're bigger than NBA guys. They're like soccer stars in Europe. How do you manage when your star quarterback wants a voice?
I actually go the other way, Colin. I embrace it. To me, it means that our players are vested. They're bought into what we're doing. It doesn't mean that I have to agree, and it doesn't mean that we have to make those decisions that those guys are interested in. But I think whenever you hear these guys talk about different players or things that they would love to see us do, to me, it goes back to show that they're football junkies. They care about the game. They care about the organization. And quite frankly, they want to win. Again, I think there's a line you draw in the sand where you have to make decisions. And that's part of my job, part of Michael Bidwell's job, and part of Kliff's job. But at the end of the day, I love hearing from DeAndre Hopkins. Kyler Murray and I constantly text each other about players. Larry Fitzgerald, the same thing. I really do embrace that. And I think that it can help lead to success because so many times they're the same guys that you're asking to help recruit J.J. Watt.
Yeah. Steve Keim, 9th year, Cardinals GM. Great seeing you again. Next time you're in L.A., I'll make Fox pick up the tab, so just get a hold of me.
Let's do it, Colin.
All right, thanks, Steve. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.